Have you ever thought about the things around you that might be silently impacting your well-being without you knowing? In today's episode, we're talking about hidden influences in our environment that affect our health and happiness, even though we cannot see them. Our guest, Justin Frandson, is here to tell us about EMF, which stands for electromagnetic fields, and how they affect us. He is the founder of EMFRocks, a company specializing in selling EMF protection products, which are available in doctors' clinics throughout the country. Justin explains the phenomenon of grounding bags, discussing their advantages and the fascinating concept of the Earth's resonance. He's also into nerve rehabilitation for sports performance, helping clients get stronger and recover from injuries quickly. Justin's passion lies in using his medical skills for sports performance and bringing health products to everyone. He is also the author of the book called Athleticism: Whole Body and Whole Brain Equals Performance. Take your energy and speed and coordination to a new dimension. So join us as we dive deep into the world of EMF with Justin Frandson, who is currently in Orange County, California, USA. And now, get ready to expand your knowledge, uncover hidden insights, and empower yourself to make informed choices for a healthier and happier life. You are listening to Health, Happiness, and Planet podcast, where we explore different ways to boost our well-being, live a more fulfilling life, and protect our planet. Join me as I chat with inspiring people and professionals from all over the world, uncovering strategies for improving our lifestyles and nurturing our precious planet. I am Juan, and this podcast is proudly brought to you by Wave Business Excellence Footprint, my digital training company that cares about your career and personal development. I am passionate about making the world a better place, so if you share my enthusiasm, this show is for you. Together, we can steer towards a healthier, happier life while leaving a positive footprint on our beautiful Earth. Join me as we explore how being healthy, happy, and caring for our planet are all connected. Hi, Justin, and welcome to the Health, Happiness, and Planet podcast. It's so great to have you here.
Oh, thanks, Juan, for having me on.
I was just looking up all of the things that you have done in the past, and it's just mind-blowing. So therefore, there's no person better than you explaining what was the journey. What did you do to get to where you are today?
Well, it wasn't a barefoot walk across Europe. So I tip my hat to you on that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, I started in the health space 26 years ago. I started athleticism.com, working with amateur and professional athletes. And we do nerve work for sports performance. I treat concussions. And what I saw over a decade ago was our athletes breaking down from wearable technology. And that's what got me into this whole space of non-native wave forms. We call them electromagnetic fields, they're actually electromagnetic radiation, because they're non-native. The electromagnetic fields can be native or non-native. So one of the strongest, fittest athletes, Juan, was wearing a smartwatch and his whole arm went weak. And he had pain right at his wrist and right below the watch. I said, well, take the watch off because that's radiation. And his pain went away. And that was the start of this whole journey with EMFRocks and looking to nature to get grounded by nature.
Now that you have gone down that rabbit hole, you have witnessed many negative effects caused by EMF. But what benefits or positive changes can one experience when removing EMF from their environment?
Well, similar to you on your journey walking across the world, like you're going to see so much vitality and energy and life force come back into your world. You're going to see pain really start to go away. It's going to be a couple different equations where I could say it's kind of like you're just reinflating a flat tire. Or you could say with the fascia work and the grounding work, you can say it's actually your body can act like a sponge because you're absorbing all this stuff. Our bodies just absorb. We're capacitors. We absorb frequencies and things. But you can wring that sponge out and then it's soft and pliable, but has form and function. That's essentially what you see with your body when you really dive into our processes.
Yeah. I think lots of people have not yet that awareness about EMF because for those things that you do not see, they just do not think it's real, but it's definitely real because it's also measurable. And what are the common things that we have at home that we're not really aware about, but it's really emitting EMF in our home environment?
Yeah, well, let me back up before I get to that question, because you said something before that struck a chord with me. I really want everyone to know and ask yourself this question: what is your environment? I mean, that's a huge question, Juan, because it's everything around us. And that environment can kill us instantly, or it could allow us to thrive. And we don't think about our environment in the capacity of, I'm going to lean in on the air, the atmosphere. And we don't think about it unless you're in Los Angeles and it's fully polluted and you could see the pollution in the air, right? Yeah. But there's these non-native waveforms that are pollution. They're air pollution, they're sound pollution that are a toxin in our environment. And when you pollute our environment, it affects our chi, our energy field, which directly affects the chemistry in our body. Bruce Lipton will say, it's the energy first that makes the chemistry. So that's what really transpires with this stuff, is we have to understand the interplay between us and our environment and how we're connected and we're one with it, and how being outside in nature recharges us. It literally recharges our body battery.
Yeah. And that's something that, even though I don't have that measurement to really see how that works, but I just feel it. It's that gut feeling, that intuition that I have, that every time I'm out there in nature and I'm walking in nature, when I get back home, I'm just like, I could just do 20 more push-ups. I just feel so energized. And therefore my question now to you is there a device that can really measure how much EMF is in my environment at the moment?
Yes. Well, so let me answer it in a few different ways. Yes, there's definitely lots of biomeasurements that you can study and measure how healthy your body is. And the one thing that people look to is they look for electromagnetic fields, EMF readers. Those readers only meter strength of non-native signals. There's no meter to meter chaos in the body. So that's wild. So people are like, well, how do we know it's disruptive? Well, then we have to circle back and look at, like, well, how well did you sleep? How's your pH? You got to look at all these different neurotransmitters. You got to look at all these different markers in your body. And those are the ones that tell you how healthy you are. Dr. Bear Lando. And if you don't know this name, I want you to listen to him. He'll be your absolute favorite. He's alphavedic.com. I mentioned him on Darren Olian's podcast, but he did a waveform test. So he has these dual impedance antennas, and they measure your chi and any distortion in your chi. And that's indicative of your health. So with his testing, Juan, our grounding bags clinically passively treated up to 91% of the markers that were off. 91%. So literally, you could take someone, get them to reground through nature's resonance, because there are hand-mine crystals inside, and you can improve their measurements up to 91%. And that's significant. So those are how we look at the body and how the body responds really well to nature.
Yeah, that's amazing. And these grounding packs, how long is the effect? Is it for a couple of months? Is it longer?
Yeah, so it's a grounding bag, and this is our product. We're sold through doctor clinics all around the country. It's one of the leading natural EMF protection products sold through doctors, and it'll last anywhere from 2 to 4 years. And you got to keep it sealed. You use it as is. You put this on your bed, you'll sleep up to 60% deeper. And then you just take it outside on the lawn and reground it every month to kind of clear all the stuff out of it. But the beauty of these is the earth has a resonance. So do the crystals inside of there. And they're alive and they have moisture with the magnetic. So every living organism has a resonance, has a waveform. And they're based on scalar waves. They're waves that distribute equally in every direction. Our crystals have those waveforms. They're unpolarized, and because of their moisture and magnetic properties, and that's why we have to keep them sealed so they don't dry out, they'll last longer. They have this amazing capacity to create a coherence, a balance, a harmony between us and our environment. It's essentially like walking barefoot in a bag that you can bring into your home. Yeah. That is absolutely phenomenal. So that's what the grounding bags do, but that's the capacity of the earth. So let me lean in on the resonance of the earth, because I feel this is probably one of the most important concepts. We talked about our environment and how we're one with it, but how is that? Well, our environment is air, which is ether or plasma. Waves and particles travel through that, right, Juan? And that's how you're in Spain. I'm in Southern California in Orange County, Laguna Beach area. That's how we're able to have this great conversation, is through waveforms. Now, those are one directional waves that they're directing out that way so they could get to you. It's not going the other direction. So there's native and non-native waveforms, and our basically environment has this living collective intelligence matrix where we're all connected and everything has a resonance. Now, the native ones are made, I mentioned, on scalar waves. Scalar waves are waves that distribute equally in every direction. It's the example of dropping a pebble into a pond. Juan, does the splash of the pond go in a circular resonance in every direction?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. When you drop a pebble in a pond, the splash doesn't go in a straight line to the right. Well, yeah, it distributes equally. So exactly. That's the framework of us. And when they said, say, 6 feet away from everyone, that meant in every direction. So they know our energy field goes in every direction. It wasn't stay 6 feet away from Justin's right ear. So our bodies have a resonance, have a frequency. And that is what we want to understand is, and so does the earth. You're not grounded in one spot and then not ungrounded in another. Yeah. You're connecting to the earth. You're going to be grounded everywhere. That's the Schumann resonance, the healing pulse of the earth. So that's how we are one with nature. We can get outside in nature and get recharged. Now, to the contrary, the non-native man-made waveforms, they're all one-directional waveforms. They do not work unless they're designed to go in a straight line one direction. That's crazy. So they're radar-esque, where it's like a laser dot, but that's a little faster bandwidth. But what they do is that's why you see cell towers having panels facing every direction. It's because they have to broadcast in that direction, in that direction, in that direction. That's unbelievable. So that's how this electricity is made. And what happens is that this stuff creates a vibration, and that vibration affects the mitochondria function of our cells. So it literally affects the health of our cells because it's vibrating and disrupting. It opens up what they call the voltage-gated calcium channels. It lets positive calcium into a negative cell, and it causes tremendous cell and DNA damage. That's what low-level electricity, just electricity in our home, causes, all the way up to the faster speeds of waveforms of wireless stuff. So when we're looking at our environment, we have to understand what's a native waveform that we're based on, a scalar wave that's unpolarized, and what we're inundating ourselves with at record speeds, at levels that we've never, ever seen before of non-native one-directional waveforms.
Yeah. Amazing. I mean, the difference from those waves that you were speaking about, if you are close to a person, even though you don't look at the person, let's say if you're blindfolded and somebody's next to you, you could probably sense if the person is angry, if the person is happy, or the person is frustrated. Somehow it just transfers, even though you cannot measure it, but you do feel that somehow, because that's the energy that's emitting his field at that moment from his emotions that he has. So I guess that's that one type of waves, yeah. But then the other ones that's coming from all the technology and from all those antennas, they are the ones really directly harming our cells. And as we are just made out of billions of cells, and if they're being harmed, and we are anyway mostly liquid, so I just can imagine that when the cell replicates itself, instead of replicating to be a very good replica, it's only, let's say, 80% of the replica that from the previous cells. So that means that's where your health could actually be going down, especially we're getting more and more of these radiations. Yeah, if it's more towers, if it's putting your smartwatch on, then you buy another device for the house that it's again wireless. So you're just like accumulating more and more of all that radiation in your body.
Yeah. I was going to add that you're right. And we're energy and water, and we're basically essentially a holograph of light. And Eileen McCusick is another great name to look up. And she wrote a book called The Electric Body, Electric Health. And she talks about our body being a body battery, where we get a negative charge from the earth, we get a positive charge from the unpolarized light of the sun. We breathe in minerals from the air. We get it from our food, hopefully, but we definitely get the minerals and the conductivity from water. And that's how our body works. If you miss out on any one of those equations, think about just a car battery. If it doesn't have water in it, it's going to just die. So that's what our body does. And we're essentially a holograph of light as well. And so within our biofield, we have generational stuff that we hold on to. Yeah. And these are their emotional stuff or all this, even EMF toxicity. So we can clear it through tuning forks. We can clear it through literally tapping on our grounding bag. We have a protocol to clear EMF in your biofield, which is phenomenal to do. But that's how our body works, is we're literally absorbing a lot of this stuff around us. We got to figure out how to keep that flowing like a river and flushing and getting rid of emotional holding patterns and getting rid of stuck stuff generationally and getting rid of any stuck EMF in our space from walking through a cell tower or having too much EMF in our world. So there's a lot to this. And we're simplifying it in such a easy way for people to understand. But the net of it is literally get outside and get grounded by nature and start feeding your body with, the proper protocols for health, which is smiling and laughing and getting in the sun and sweating and exercising and breathing and doing fascia maneuvers and eating clean food, exercise, nutrition, hydration, owning your power. Go, hug a tree and be close to people, love and touch. And like that, those are the pillars of health, not distance and not, covering yourself up and not drugs from pharmaceutical companies. That's the complete opposite of what health is.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that is scary is that if I speak to people in the street, most of them will not know most of that, what we're speaking about right now. Sometimes the large corporations who are just thinking about the money and the profits, they're just trying to avoid that such information goes out there. And if there are scientists trying to do certain tests, and if they can find that there is really negative effects through EMFs and other devices, but it's not so communicated out there in the public because they're not then being supported or funded for such information. Because most of the time, these scientific corporations are being funded by large corporations who only want to see better results. And if they say, hey, if you're going to be coming out with those really bad results, then we do not need to be funding your institution for very long. Please test as long as you can until you start getting pretty good results, and then we can start publishing those.
It's so true, Juan. Unfortunately, some of the bigger industries and every industry are captured, and they're all for profit and not about your health. And they've lied to us. The pharmaceutical industries lied to us. The telecom industries lied to us. 5G is not the best, greatest thing. And then we go into the car industry. I mean, even more fuel efficient cars. They were lying to us before the electrical car fad. Every car should have lower octane in their fuel. We're not race cars. And then now we get into the electrical car, fad, which sitting on a massive battery is 18% lower testosterone. So that's not good. And then we go into agriculture, and I'm sure we'll get back to that topic, but the agriculture, like herbicides, pesticides to grow more food and genetically modify food, that's not great for any bit of our environment. So every industry has been captured, unfortunately, and is looking at the almighty dollar at all costs. I'm a capitalist at heart, but not at all costs. You got to do things as aware as you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look 3 generations or 6 generations out.
Exactly. Time for a quick break to mention that the sponsor of this podcast is Wave Business Excellence Footprint, a digital training company deeply committed to your career development, personal growth, and the well-being of our precious planet. Dive into a wealth of knowledge with over 20 courses available on our website, www.wave-bef.com. Tailored for both managers and employees aspiring to become tomorrow's leaders. One of our best-selling courses is the Presentation and Communication Skills Training, perfect for those creating and delivering presentations in their companies. Whether through video conference or live meetings, if you want to convey your message effectively and do an outstanding job, this course equips you with the skills to be a better creator and presenter. Check out the testimonials on our website. The results speak for themselves. During my time in the corporate world, I often wished I had the opportunity to access such courses at the beginning, making my learning experience quicker. And now, one further topic before we jump back to the conversation. For those of you resonating with the themes of health, happiness, and planet, discover information about our 3-day retreat in Spain by reaching out to my team at the email address hhp@wave-bef.com. You will obtain further information about our life-changing retreat held once a year, together with some of our remarkable podcast guests. Each retreat is unique, leaving you energized with a set of simple tools to take control of your health and happiness sustainably. And the best part, you will be surrounded by like-minded individuals, ending the retreat with a personal action plan shared regularly within the group. So whoever's listening to this podcast and is also parents, if you have children, that's one of the things I see quite often today, that just to keep their kids quiet, they say, here, have my phone, just look into the internet and leave us alone. We're having dinner with our guests, and the kids are there with their Bluetooth headset in their ears, and they have all kind of wireless devices. And I think for children, it's probably even more harmful, because I think they're more susceptible to such radiation, because I think, for example, if they have anything close to their head, even their skull is not thick enough. And that's why most of this radiation goes straight into their brain. And would you also see that similar as I see that? That's very dangerous for children?
Oh, no question about it, Juan. You're spot on. Their skulls aren't fully developed till they're in their early 20s.
Wow.
And then if they're having the wireless earbuds in their inner ear, that's a canal basically that goes to your brain. So the skull's not blocking that. That's localized radiation in your inner ear. When you have something like that over an extended period of time, that area is going to break down. It just does. And that's what we've seen over the past, 15 plus years with the rollout of cell phones and now wireless headsets. There's lots of localized cancer acoustic nerve challenges in those ears. And our own California Department of Public Health did a study, and they hit it. And they were sued by a Berkeley professor. And this is about a decade ago when I was in the thick of researching this EMF space. And they talked about all the cancer challenges that are involved with cell phones putting up to your head. Because what they do is they have an absorption rating. They call it a SARS rating. It's absorption rating on how much our body absorbs. So every inch further away is like exponentially less amount of absorption for the body. When you're younger and you don't have those defense mechanisms, you're going to absorb a lot more. And the other topic that I talk about that's just absolutely brutal is for fertility. One, it's so criminal. Let's make a massive battery and a router and tell people, call it a laptop and put it over your reproductive organs. It's just criminal. We got to develop a stronger awareness of this stuff. And they market it as cool and convenient and hip, but man, we're not replenishing our population here in the US. And that's why they're opening up everyone to migrate here, because they're trying to really disguise that whole concept of, it's tough to get people, to have everyone reproduce nowadays.
Yeah.
It's really tough to live in this environment with all this radiation. We've never, ever in the history blanketed our entire world at this level, and every country's doing it.
Yeah. Even if I think about my family surroundings, I really could just think about one or two people who have been saying, hey, we've been trying to have kids for a while, but it's not really happening. Yeah. And that's just from the few people I know who surround my family members. Yeah. Probably if I would ask further, I'm sure there will be so many more who will be saying the same. And that's pretty scary. And that's why I think all of that, what the industry is doing with selling all these products, we are more like a human experiment. They say, main thing, we are innovative. We can come out with new products. And if something happens as negative effects, that we will only know maybe 1 or 2 generations later what was the cause and effect of that product. And I think we could probably do a better job as consumers to really do a little bit more research before we start purchasing all of those products that we have at the moment to our disposal. Just as an example, I was the other day trying to look for some headset for my wife who does the editing for the podcasts, and it was so hard to find high quality headset that they have cables. So I was looking for a headset that has a cable. So I was actively putting into Amazon, I want a high end headset that has a cable and it can also do noise reduction. And all what pops up is all these wireless ones. I'm like, no, I don't want wireless. I want one with a cable. So it's just sometimes not so easy for the consumers. But I think once you know, and it's valuable for you and your health and your family to continue searching until you find the ideal product.
Oh, I agree. And I mean, yeah, I don't like the looks of this, but the sound quality is so much better when you go back to analog and you're hardwired. Hardwiring's faster, it's safer, it's more reliable. There's minimal health challenges with it. I mean, obviously I have my grounding bags and I have one in my pocket to minimize or transmute those signals so it's not affecting me, and then I'm going to go get grounded right after. So I'm doing the work, I'm putting the work in. And you're right, as consumers we have to be more aware and raise our level of consciousness and not just say, oh, because it's on the shelf at this store that it's okay. No, read the ingredients, like look at it, understand. Like, I mean, I think a lot of these stores, and we're already seeing, like Rite Aid went bankrupt, and they even sell pharmaceutical products. Like, I don't understand how all the crap on the shelves is going to be purchased anymore. I think people are going to start looking to outsource and look for sustainable. I buy my meat separately. I go into specialty craft stores and it's way more expensive for sure, but it's worth it for my health. When I start to eat something off the box, my stomach just flips upside down. My body doesn't know what to do with chemicals anymore. And I'm over 50, so I got to really, look at this stuff. And digestion was my biggest thing. I was eating foods I was allergic to the first 2 decades of my life. And so my body's more sensitive than most. But at the end of the day, nobody's body's going to assimilate chemicals and crap at that level. So there's going to be a breaking point. So to your point, let's get in front of this and start to make good decisions and get some good toothpaste. So we have on Athleticism, I offer 2 different types of toothpaste that doesn't have all the crap in it. We have Revitin, which is Dr. Jerry Curtola's toothpaste, which is amazing. And it's a citrus flavor. And then we have ours and Spearmint, a white clay toothpaste. And I mean, we have, essential oils that you could put on your skin instead of all the chemicals and heavy metals and perfumes and colognes. We have MCT oils. And the list goes on and on as far as looking at putting the right stuff in your body. Yeah. We gotta start shopping online, getting the right sources of food or nutrient supplements. Alphavetic's great one. Get some silica, get some diatomaceous earth, get Irish sea moss, get quality brands of these things that help you methylate, help you flush, help your fascia stay hydrated, because what you're putting in is a lot of what you're going to get out as well.
Definitely, 100%. One of the things that just came up from one of the topics you just mentioned regarding your toothpaste, I was just a couple of weeks ago with my daughter at the dentist, and the dentist wanted to do some procedure with her teeth, and he said, yeah, we're going to use the fluoride, I don't know what. And I'm like, wait a minute, no fluoride, please. And they were looking at me like if I came from another planet. They're like, what? No fluoride? You're going to be harming your daughter. Yeah, we cannot use fluoride. I'm like, no. It's sometimes frustrating.
Juan, you are one of the aware ones, and I'm so grateful to all the aware people in different countries. And Spain, just raise the level of consciousness, heighten it up there. Let's start to really make an imprint on the people, and then the people can make an imprint on their purchase power, and then that will shift industries, because if no one's buying crappy foods or modified stuff, they're not going to have an industry for it. They can market it all day long, but if we're not going to buy it, they're just going to be losing money, and then they're going to have to make a shift. So that's so I'm so grateful for your awareness. And yeah, there's biologic dentists. Like literally, there's dentists that don't use fluoride. There's dentists that don't do root canals, and there's dentists that don't put heavy metals and toxicity into your mouth and teeth, because your teeth are your gateway to health. Yeah. One of the protocols we use with our grounding bags is to tap on the bag, and you could recharge your eyes, your teeth, your thymus, which is your upper chest, and then your intestine area, just by tapping on the bag. So the teeth can get decharged from this EMF. Like that's their gateway for health. So these doctors just want to start drilling and pulling and filling you with minerals. Like they think fluoride's a mineral that remineralizes your teeth, but it's a neurotoxin. That and mercury are the two last things you want in your mouth. And so, but those are the two that are in dentist world, and we're lied to in the dentistry world. They think it's okay to put that in your mouth. So again, just another example of what we've been really sharing with you.
Yeah. Wow. I think many listeners will probably have to listen to this podcast again, because there's so many points here that you can go down so many rabbit holes. For example, now the other topic that I have in mind is about the electric cars. When I look at a product and when I purchase a product, I always not only just look at that consumption that I have at that moment with that product. So for example, they're always putting into the marketing how sustainable I am by driving an electric car. And I'm thinking, yeah, but what about the production of that electric car? How do they create the batteries, and where do they get the energy to create those batteries? What kind of resources do they need from the planet in order to have those batteries? Once I have the product and I have the car, yes, at that moment of time, I might be a little bit more efficient than the other ones. But then what happens the afterlife when I don't use the car anymore? It's broken down. What happens with the batteries? Is there a process on how to eliminate these toxics from our planet? And the answer is no. So therefore, I always think like in the three phases. What is the creation phase? What is the phase when I am using the product? And what is the afterlife? And therefore, for me, when I look at an electric car, it's like a red sign for the production, a red sign for the afterlife, and slightly maybe green while I use it in a sustainable way. But for that, not maybe for my health. For the health, it's also red. So what is your take on the electric cars?
Well, hey, we're speaking the same language here, Juan. You are spot on. They're using coal, cadmium, and precious minerals to mine the fossil fuels, the fuels for making a battery. The amount of energy and coal that they use for it is extensive. And that's what they say they want to reduce the usage of. But I think the biggest point here is I don't even know how this got past the sniff test, because everyone, it's like, hey, let's use less electricity. Like that's what's going to stop the emissions and global warming, all this nonsense, like literally. But then let's make a vehicle that you have to use more of that grid to use the car. Like it makes zero sense at all. So just on the concept of using more electricity to use the vehicle, there is no merit in it at all. I think it's a fad. We're showing now there's so many fires associated with the cars. They're freezing over. People are getting stuck in the cold conditions. They're not more fuel efficient when you drive. They don't get lighter. The life of these batteries isn't very long. I mean, I'm writing a book actually on electric cars and the lies that have been told to us. And it's quite a process. But when I ask people how many cars, I have like a lot of friends that are Tesla owners and they've made millions on the stock, which is a great stock to buy, but they've had like 5 Teslas in 10 years. Like they literally go through them like candy. So those batteries, like they just throw them away, and we don't have the means to fully recycle them. There's all that, but I think the biggest thing, what most people don't understand, is sitting on a massive battery is not good for your health. It never will be. And pharma can't even make up that lie. And what it equates to, I had a colleague test, and he tested that sitting on a massive battery. He tested military elite special forces, and 18% lower testosterone was what the individual showed driving Tesla. So if you take a perfectly healthy person and put them in an electric car, especially during developmental stages, the kids are getting cooked. They don't have a chance to build up their life force and their hormone levels to become real men or women. The adults are losing fertility challenges. They're seeing, early menopause. They're having lack of fertility stuff going on. 18% lower testosterone will directly affect the health in an array of different ways. And then on a side note, another colleague, a medical doctor, she does blood work. She's huge into blood work as well. But she did pre and post on all of her clients, patients, they call them, before the COVID shot. And that's 20% lower testosterone for all the clients that got the COVID shot. So if you take a perfectly healthy person, you give them a pharmaceutical shot, and then you give them an electric car, you're going to make them a very compromised, sick person.
Wow. My question now regarding the car, because that one is something that probably affects so many people listening to this. In case they already have a car, either hybrid or a fully electric car, would your product, the grounding packs, help them?
Yeah, the grounding bag will help create a coherence. We're recommending 7 in an electric car behind the driver's seat to clear the EMF challenges. In a hybrid, probably 5 would be okay. In the newer cars, 1 under each seat, because even the combustion engine car, there's still Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and so there's a lot of EMF. There's 7 computers in every new car. There's so much electricity in just a regular car that you want to have the grounding bags in it too. There's a book called The Invisible Rainbow by Arthur Firstenberg. And I want everyone to read that book. He categorized the history of electricity and life. He directly correlates every major shift in our electromagnetic blanket of an atmosphere and correlates them with dis-ease or people getting sick. And before 1889, that was the year we introduced electricity in the homes. Before 1889, anytime people got sick was direct correlation with solar flares or cosmic shifts in the atmosphere, which is crazy. So when there's a shift, there's a pressure shift in our body, because remember I talked about our body being, pressure sensitive. That disrupts our REM patterns, our pineal gland, and then the chemistry in our body's messed up. But those are native ones, and our bodies will adapt, when we need to at the level we're capable. What we've seen since we introduced electricity in the homes, and what he has this incredibly referenced book, 150-page bibliography. He talks about the history of electricity in life, and once electricity was introduced into the homes, they used to call the flu because it would fly in and fly out with solar flares and cosmic shifts. But only until we put electricity into the home was the flu here to stay. That's a huge point. So once we put electricity in our homes, there was a season where everyone started getting sick because there was this vibration that affected our body. And then he goes on to some of the bigger windows where there was lots of disease. Well, 1918, the Spanish flu. Well, that was the first time they rolled out radio waves on a broad spectrum across the whole world. And then World War II was radar, and then Hong Kong flu with satellites. And then everyone knows they've rolled out 5G the last several years, and we all keep adapting to it. I mean, people are getting sick in the summertime, and that's because they keep notching up the signal strength, and our bodies are like, what the heck is that? And we just adapt to it. And they're all respiratory. They're all the same symptoms of EMF challenges for the body. So there's no scratching your head for me. There's no contagion. There's no virus out there that's flying around to kill anyone. We're built on viruses, fungus, and bacteria. This is a huge point that everyone should learn. Read the book, The Contagion Myth by Dr. Tom Cowan, C-O-W-A-N. Our bodies will adapt to our environment. When there's environmental toxins of EMF, they're going to adapt at the level they're capable. And that is a huge, huge conversation that has been missed. And I want the world to move forward and not live in fear and not bring in the toxicity into their environment with the shots and vaccines. But our body has this perfect living collective tissue matrix and intelligence matrix that it connects the universe, but inside it is designed to heal. It's a beautiful self-healing mechanism. And when you do Gary Lineham's fascia maneuvers, when you feed your body with all the nutrients that we talked about, when you get the EMF out of your space and get grounded and turn your Wi-Fi off at night and get these cell phones on airplane mode when you're not using them and get the resonance of your home as close as you can to the earth, your vitality is going to just increase dramatically.
Yeah. That's so well said, and that really connects the dots to many things that people do not know why certain things happen as they happen. And they think, well, it's just the way it is. Maybe we just believe whatever is out there in the news, but they cannot really back up many of the things. And I've been looking at the statistics that come up, even though I never look at the news because I know that half of it is just made up. But when I do look at it, I'm like, how does that add up? Yeah, I've been doing projects for so many years and I've been a lot in statistics and I like playing with numbers. And I'm like, none of that stuff adds up. So I just stopped listening. And the other thing which I picked out from what you said was I think that if we do our homework of really being good to our body and giving it the right nutrition, giving it the right movement and connection to nature and all of that, then we will be more resilient. We can adapt easier to all of those changes that is happening out there. If they're going to be cranking up those satellites from 5G to 6G or higher, then those who are already with problems with their health and maybe are overweight and are just eating bad food, and they are the first ones who are going to start really feeling the effects. And those who are doing their homework and trying to really have a strong body, our bodies will be like, something's coming, but I'm adapting to that situation. But if you're ready, like almost at your limit, and if something changes in your environment, then they're just not going to make it with the body that's struggling. That is also an important message, that people know that if I can take care of my body will hopefully also take care of me when there are changes coming up.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that one is that we have the ability to transmute these waveforms. There's a thing called physics. So the earth can do it because it has silica in it, and so can we. We have silica in us. That's what our fascia is made out of. So when we build our life force up strong enough, we can transmute EMFs, and so they don't affect us because we're just doing it through our own body. So I don't want people to live in fear, but I want people to live in awareness. And once you can start to build that life force up, then you can say like, okay, I'm good. This stuff doesn't affect me. Now I'm still working on that. You know, we don't sit around and breathe all day like Shaolin monks. It's not easy for a lot of people to do. So that's where our grounding bags and other, these great products come into play. But that's something to be aware of. It's nothing to fear. But what I wanted also, I know we have a little bit of time left, but I wanted to mention the increase of diabetes with EMF and the direct correlation that I've seen with it. I metered a home, and over a decade, I started metering homes. So I'd go in and identify the different stressors. And you asked me what those are. And it's smart meters and Wi-Fi and these newer homes with LED lights with transformers in it, bad wiring, cross-wiring outside of your homes, all the smart devices. Those are some of obviously the 101 ones that affect us. And so I went into this home and they were off the charts on milligauss and dirty electricity. And I said, so you guys go take a trip and we'll clear up your house. So they went to Fiji. They're a wealthy family in Newport Beach. Wow. And went to Fiji. And this kid had childhood diabetes. And so, the mom, that's why she got me over to the house to measure it. And she was a former professional athlete. The husband's, wealthy and eats oral organic. The whole house is breaking down health-wise. And they're like, what do we do? What do we do? And so that's why we looked at the EMF. Well, They're on this airplane. The mom's got the new smartwatch to measure her son's glucose levels so she can monitor it so he doesn't die right in front of her. And it's ironic they're using technology that weakens them to save their life. But anyhow, his glucose spiked 200 points when everyone turned on their Wi-Fi on the airplane, and he got a bloody nose. And towards the tail end of the flight, he was still sleeping. It's a long flight. And half the people woke up and started using their Wi-Fi. He was still sleeping, got a bloody nose while he was still sleeping, and his glucose went up 100 points. And the mom's measuring it on her watch and then watching what's going around in their environment to see the spiking, because he was asleep. He didn't eat anything differently, but the glucose levels were going up and down with the invisible environment stressor.
Amazing.
That's crazy, but it's a perfect example of us understanding how our environment's affected. So what I look to is we roll out an MCT oil called lean oil, and the MCT oils help buffer your glucose levels and spiking of insulin. Even diabetes with all the fake food, the sugars and modified foods and sugars have gotten a bad rap, and they deservingly so. But a lot of it lies on your invisible environment of electricity. And there weren't 6 cases from what Arthur Furstenberg says in his book, The Invisible Rainbow, 130 years ago. 6 cases of diabetes across the entire world. And since we've rolled up all the electrification with radio waves and radar and satellites and 5G, diabetes is one of the biggest health challenges out there.
Yeah. Wow. I was just blown away by that story. I probably need some time to really process that, because it's just, I'm speechless. I've also read recently from the Earthing Institute a report even about animals, when they look at what is the cause of death of animals who live in the wild, and they don't die from tumors or from cancer or from anything like that. They have totally other types of causes of death than the pets from people living in homes, living in buildings where they have their dogs and cats. And they say that the weird thing is that the pets have similar ailments as their owners, and they could not understand how can it be that pets who live in a building, that they constantly have some kind of cancers, tumors, all kind of things which animals do not have in the outside world, who are constantly grounded and are in nature.
Yeah, it's definitely a really valid point, and I'm going to second that. I mean, pets take on emotions too, and so it's good to comb over, do Reiki on them and clear their energy out. But one of the biggest things is humans don't hear the bandwidth and the stressor of this, unless you're in your home and the electricity goes off and you're at a quiet place and you could hear the buzzing go zzz, down to nothing. We don't hear that constant buzz, but that's what our bodies feel. Animals hear it all the time. The plants hear it. The pets hear it. Cattle hear it. All that. One of another example is I'm a huge waterman. I'm in the ocean all the time. This past weekend, I swam with dolphins, 57-degree water. They were in our cove in Laguna Beach for a couple hours. They were just playing like crazy. So I jump in, no wetsuit. I'm in for about a half hour with them. I have a video on it, super fun. And we're swimming with the dolphins. So when I go underwater, they're eking, they're squeaking like crazy. It's so loud, the sounds that they make. And you could hear whales, or even if dolphins are in our cove and they're further away. I mean, they were literally arm's distance away from me. And they were surrounding me, and I would go under and hoot and holler, and they would just come and surround me. And they were stoked, and they were playing, and I would go in. It was just absolutely phenomenal. Just one of the most special moments. But the sound that you can hear underwater, it's so much more profound. Like these waveforms travel really well through water. When there's an electric foil board in our cove, it sounds like noise pollution when I duck underwater. You guys, we really want to understand our environment, these waveforms, the frequencies that they put out, and even if they're not the bandwidth that most humans can't hear, it doesn't mean it's not affecting us. They definitely are disrupting our energy field disrupt our chemistry. So get out into nature, get grounded by nature, convert your home and office to make it as healthy and as close as you can to the resonance of being outside. At least you're going to eliminate some of those stressors. And when you can't and you're still using technology because we have to be productive, lean in and use the grounding bags and literally get grounded by nature. This is the answer for us and the future populations, is to literally coexist with non-native EMFs through the Earth's resonance, not a manufactured product or resonance. All the pendants, all the metal plates that imprint frequencies, that's like eating genetically modified food. That's a modified resonance that they're embedding to put into your environment. We don't need any more modified resonances. Okay. Electricity's good. There's Rife machines. There's all that stuff. Those are sounds that are temporarily for like an hour, PEMFs that can reset your energy field. Those are good. To clear EMF with a fake resonance, like always going in your energy field, is not. And so you have to look to nature's resonance to facilitate healing. That's the message that we want to share with you today.
Absolutely fantastic. Wow, that's a great summary. I have so many other questions here on my list, but we could probably go on for a couple more hours. Yeah. And
we should do this again.
Yes, definitely. And so to wrap it up, my second last question, what are the other products that you have? One of them you have already mentioned, your earthing and grounding bags. Then you also have the toothpaste. You got the other thing with water. You also have something, is that right?
Yeah, water structuring device. We sell Dr. Dave Jensen's water structuring device. And water has certain structure. And this is so thanks for bringing this up, because we talked about the EMS dehydrating us. And the reason it does is because it destructures our water, and our water flows in a Fibonacci sequence. So it's more of like a spiral honeycomb shaped sequence. And that's where the COVID shot really tricked people, is because they made that into a honeycomb shape. So the body thought it was something that it needed and would grab onto it. And that's where it got really a lot of people. So water has a structure. The bandwidth of 2.45 gigahertz destructures water. That's the lowest bandwidth that starts to deform that water structure. So that means that we won't absorb it as well because it doesn't have that proper structure. So it's really important to have structure in your water, and you can get it more through spring water. Distilled water is good for clearing stuff out, but structured water is just the live spring water is going to be the best. Silica is going to be, through diatomaceous earth, is going to be one of the best nutrients that you can keep your fascia hydrated. Ibrahim Karim, the founder of biogeometry, will say that if there's any change in our environment as far as temperature is concerned, it's because we've dehydrated it through the EMFs, electromagnetic radiations out there, not from fossil fuels and all the other stuff, the carbon stuff. So the depths of evil that they go to don't even come close to the depths of good that we have to offer. And, with your awareness and knowledge that you're sharing with everybody, we're going to win on this stuff. But we got to really slow down this aggregation of information from them. One of the other products I have, this is a good segue into it, is a Faraday bag. And the Faraday bags, they protect you from your phone, and they protect your phone from the data harvesting. So it saves the life of your battery. So the reason our batteries burn out so quickly is because they're harvesting your information. They're aggregating all of your information at record speeds, and they're sending it to artificial intelligence. And so we want to slow down that aggregation. And they're trying to use our biometrics, which are our single most unique identifiers of our face, our retina scans, our fingerprints, our voice. You guys, stop using those for commerce. Just stop giving them your single most unique identifiers. I mean, they're already getting it because they're watching a video of us right now, but I'm not using commerce with it. So we got to slow down this aggregation. That's what's going to protect us. It's been a wild journey. So over a decade, it's gone from, understanding physics of how we're connected with our environment, and then the challenges of electromagnetic radiation on our body, how we can combat it. And then now it's into privacy and and security and body sovereignty. And so it's like this crazy journey that's all connected. But literally the technology that we're using is part of the challenge. That's we're giving away a lot of our body sovereignty freedoms from it. So let's start to understand that and use some of these products. And these are really inexpensive bags, $14 bags that and below that can really take a huge stressor. And when you put a cell phone in it, it drops it to safe levels from what bioinitiative.org would consider safe, or that muscle testing, applied kinesiology would consider safe. So we have a lot of great products on EMFRocks.com and on EMF protection. Then we have all of our health products, and we keep adding more. And every single one of them has been vetted by me, and I've seen incredible results. And the people that are behind them have as pure of a heart as you and I do, but their expertise is just absolutely beyond. So every single product on athleticism.com as pure and good as it can possibly be.
Fantastic. And that's where we as consumers know, with our dollars that we're spending, what do we want to support? Do we want to support the destructive processes and products that's going to destroy the world and our health? Or are we going to be investing our money on products that are really meant for the good of us and for the future of our, I can actually say the future of our species. If we want to be longer in this planet, we better start doing things differently to the way how we've done in the last 100 years.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for that great podcast we had today. It was just so amazing. We only scratched the surface of a few things I wanted to ask you today, but perhaps we'll have another session in our next season. And Justin, keep up the fantastic work and the fantastic products. I'll be putting all of that into the show notes. And see you hopefully soon again.
Juan, you're the man. Appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. What an incredible conversation with Justin. Here are the key highlights from our talk. Point number 1, common sources of EMF in our home environment include smart devices, Wi-Fi, and LED lights. Learning nugget number 2, EMF can have a significant impact on the body, including pain, disrupted sleep, and changes in chemistry. Takeaway number 3, electric cars can have negative effects on our health, including lower testosterone levels. And number 4, consumer awareness is crucial in making informed decisions about products and their impact on health. And the takeaway number 5 that I've written down is that pets and animals can also be affected by EMF and may experience similar health issues as their owners. Don't forget to check the show notes for links and details on where to find Justin. And now I'm curious, which part of this episode resonated most with you? I value your feedback and would love to hear from you. Please take a moment to rate, subscribe, and share this episode with anyone who could benefit from this content. Your support means the world to me, and it motivates me to keep creating content that adds value to your life. Looking forward to connecting with you in the next episode. Big hugs, everyone.